Welcome to the Reggie and Jerome podcast. I'm your co-host, Big D, sitting here with my guys, Big J.A.
What's up, everybody?
Sammy C, talk to the people.
Yo, what's going on?
We are here for another podcast. This one is a special one. It's a special one for me, one I've been waiting to do. We are going to go through our 15 greatest Eagles over the past 25 years. We have been really wanting to do this. There are a lot of good candidates, a lot of great players. I mean, the Birds have been to the Super Bowl 3 times, multiple NFC championship games. So we obviously have had a lot of good players, but we could only narrow it down to 15. There's only really one caveat that there is, before anyone asks, we can't have any Birds that have only played 1 year. Really the cutoff was 3.3 years because, that's the average NFL lifespan, believe it or not, is 3.3 years.
Really?
I know we know a lot of names of players that are on our favorite teams, but if you just really think about it, that's only the top 22 guys. Those other guys at some point, they lead the league. So, yeah, 3.3 years is the average for an NFL player. So nobody on these lists is going to be under that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do as we always do before every game, every touchdown. We're going to take a shot. Boys, let's go.
Let's go. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Yeah, I'm ready to go now. My throat isn't, but I'm ready to go now. Whew. Pause on that too. I didn't.
Hey, yo.
That shit came out crazy. Anyway, so yeah, guys, I was really excited for this one. What are your guys' thoughts about making list and how difficult it was, or it wasn't? Maybe it wasn't difficult for you. I don't know.
Oh, it was definitely difficult. Hard homework. I felt like I was back in school with this. I couldn't make my decision, but I think my list is pretty damn good, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it.
Okay. What do you think, Joey?
You know, it wasn't the easiest thing to do. You know, in the last 25 years, there's been a lot of great players.
Absolutely.
To be lucky enough to touch the turf over at Lincoln Financial Field and wear that midnight green. But I got it done. We might not all agree, but, you know, that's what makes it special. You know, it's who your favorite, in your opinion, belongs on this list.
Absolutely. Because I'm sure a lot of these players hit us in different ways in their times with the Birds. So we all have different feelings for a lot of these guys. Some of us are fan favorites. Some of them were just good. Some of them are all-time greats. We're all going to have different people on the list, but that's what makes them our list. So without any further ado, we're going to go around the room and start with Joey, your number 15 guy.
Number 15. Okay, we're going to go.
Yeah, we're going up to 1. We're going to do this as unprofessionally as professionally as possible. So we're going to go 15 to 1.
All right, fine by me. At my number 15 spot, I have Trent Cole.
Trent Cole.
You know, I was a young whippersnapper watching these Birds play, but you know, really, he's second all time sack leader in franchise history. And really the reason why he makes this list for me is I got to meet him. I got to have a conversation with him. I'll indulge a little bit. You know, I don't want to get, not that Trent might be listening, but you never know. I ran into him in 2015, you know, the Chip Kelly era.
The dark ages.
You know, it was kind of nice. You know, I think he enjoyed the encounter. You know, it was two guys just having a conversation. It wasn't Trent, can I have an autograph? I didn't get an autograph, didn't take a picture with him, just chopped it up. And, you know, he was kind of the first person to break the news And obviously, I didn't run to no media outlets. I promised them I wouldn't. But
now if that happens, you got to come run here, by the way. But go ahead.
He kind of broke the news to me and my father that not only was he leaving the Eagles, that Shady McCoy was going to be traded.
I bet you that shit hurt.
And, I kind of just froze there and I was like, no, you're kidding. But, yeah, that started my deep hatred for one Chip Kelly.
Which continues to this day, I hope.
Oh, every bit so.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, that's my number 15, Trent Cole.
Trent Cole, good pick. Not on my list. Sammy, it's on you. Who's your number 15 guy?
Number 15 for me, A.J. Brown. Rank 15 for me, regardless of this only being his 4th season with the Birds. He's proven to be one of the best trades the Eagles have made. He's shown his ability to continue to be at a high impact player on the team. He's had multiple 1,400-yard seasons, the first 2 seasons actually with us. And even with getting Saquon last year, he still had 1,100 yards receiving.
Missed a game or two too.
Yeah, he missed the season. Not the full season, but I think it was 2 or 3 games last season. My personal opinion, he's one of the best receivers in the league. The strong route runner, creates great separation for the defenders. He's just a difference maker, and that's why he's my number 15.
Great pick on my list as well. And, man, I just love watching AJ play.
Man,
he's such a good player.
Swole Batman.
Yeah. Just thank you, Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, in retrospect,
Howie season.
Yeah, in retrospect, there wasn't really anything for him there. I'm sure he thanks his lucky stars every day that he ended up here. But yeah, he's obviously he's a great player. So I'll go to my number 15 guy. One of my favorite Eagles ever, even though he's at number 15, is Asante Samuel. Asante, I want to say the trading, the signing of Asante Samuel kind of started a different era for the Birds. They were in this transition period where they had some defensive backs, and then Bobby Taylor and Trey Vincent were gone. And it was almost like a changing of the guard, so to speak, when he came, and he brought a level of intensity and winning attitude that he brought from the Patriots. Asante still has the most interceptions in postseason history, even though he didn't have a lot of them with us. He does. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. He had 3 Pro Bowls with us. Really, really good player. One of my favorites. I love defensive backs. I love the art of being a defensive back, and nobody was better at it than Asante Samuel. Press coverage, off coverage. He could play zone. He baited the best quarterbacks. He intercepted Peyton Manning more than anybody. He baited some of the best quarterbacks in the interceptions. So for me, my number 15 pick is Asante Samuel.
I like that pick.
It's my guy.
I like Asante Samuel, man. I actually wanted his son, Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah.
But he's still a free agent.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
That is surprising. There's quite a few free agents.
That's a good pick,
there.
though.
Yeah. Asante's my guy.
I had his jersey.
Did you really? Deuce. It's my guy, Asante. Number 14. We're moving up the list. Joey, who you got?
I went Jeremiah Trotter Sr. here.
Really? Okay.
And, not only was he a hell of a player, but really, again, I was a young kid watching these teams grow up, and something simple that he did, and I was just enamored by it, was the celebration, the Axe Man. and, we go out in the backyard, and, I sack my older brother or tackle my older brother playing football, and that celebration came out
Wow.
every single time.
And that's what, and not to cut you off, but that's what this is about. Like,
Yeah.
obviously this is subjective, but for you, the two people you just named meant something to you as you were watching them. Because obviously, if we were doing this for the past 50 years, I mean, I fucking named the podcast after the two guys that I grew up idolizing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, they were great players, but for you, that meant something for you.
That got me into wanting to watch football.
Right.
And, without something like that, who knows? I might not even be in this position that I'm in right now.
There you go. I got you. That's a good one. I like that. Not on my list, but I like that. Sammy?
My number 14 is Trent Cole. One of the most valuable players during his time with the Eagles. Spent 10 seasons with the Birds, in which he established himself as a defensive threat, as a pass rusher. Recorded, I think it was 85.5 sacks, which is second in franchise history behind Reggie White.
I didn't realize that
Yeah.
until I was looking at something for somebody else on this list, and I was like, damn, I didn't realize he had that many sacks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It blew my mind as well.
Yeah.
He was a 2-time Pro Bowler that he just, obviously was good enough to make that. And, there's more on my list that have went to the Pro Bowl even more times than that. But even just being a 2-time Pro Bowler and having 85 sacks, in franchise right behind Reggie White, which Reggie White, is a different breed.
Yeah.
He was amazing. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2022.
Somehow I forgot that. But yeah, good.
To me, solidifying his place as a top player in Eagles history, man. And quick thing with Trent Cole, my dad actually went to Trent Cole's house. And
you really?
Yeah.
I've actually been there as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, met him and no autographs, nothing like that. But he was just, like Joey said, honestly, he was a great guy. Just honestly how like me and you were talking, just that's how he was. So
he's a really down to earth guy.
Yeah.
He's outside of the football field, likes to hunt, likes all that outdoorsy stuff. So definitely a guy that you could have a conversation with, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
I don't remember where exactly I was going, and I was coming from Swedesboro, and I was with another guy I work with, and we saw this big ass truck, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's Trent Cole right there,
big white truck."
Yep.
Yeah. And I think we might have been Mullica Hill or something like that. And he was like, "Yeah, it's Trent Cole right there. We see him all the time at the Heritage or whatever like that." And everybody says, the same. I never met him, but everybody says the same thing.
Yeah. So that's my number 14.
Good stuff. My number 14 is and we don't have to, because we already talked about him a little bit. My number 14 is AJ Brown. If he had more time in, it'd probably be higher on the list. That being said, the impact that AJ Brown made to his team is the reason why they were in 2 Super Bowls. I understand Saquon, I understand Jalen, but none of that happens without AJ. He was the match that started the fire when they got him. Devontae was already here, but Devontae really, I still call him 1B, but there's a difference between a 1B and a 1A.
Absolutely.
And AJ carries the team at times, especially when Saquon wasn't there. He carried the team at times. So that is my number 14 pick is AJ Brown.
Nice.
On to number 13. Who you got, Joey?
Funny enough, my number 13 is AJ Brown.
Well, there you go.
It completed his 3rd year here, and that it's right on the cuff of our outline. But since he's got here, setting Eagles franchise records in 3 years is incredible. Logged a career high 106 receptions, most in Eagles franchise history in 2023, and also 6 straight games of 125 plus yards receiving. He holds the NFL record for that.
Damn.
Wow.
Surpassing Calvin Johnson, who did it in 2012, and Pat Studstill, who did it in 1966.
The legend, Pat Studstill.
Wow.
Well, I've never heard of.
Me either.
But one of the key reasons I love AJ Brown, he's an absolute dog, man. He's one of those players who can talk the talk and walk the walk.
Absolutely.
As much as, some players who are all rah-rah, who don't have the stats or the performance to back that up, AJ Brown is every bit of that.
He most certainly is. The thing I love about AJ is when he says that the best part of his job is just looking at the defensive back that is helpless. Like, I don't know why, but I just love that. Like, he wants to really dominate the guy across from him.
It's like a lion stalking its prey.
Yeah.
He knows exactly how he's going to go after you, and he's going to execute it to perfection.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better no more. Great job, Joey. Sammy C, next on your list.
My number 13 is Zach Ertz.
My dog.
Yeah, that's Joey's dog right there.
Yeah, man.
It's no secret, Ertz is an Eagles legend. As a Bird, he was a 3-time Pro Bowler and Super Bowl 52 champ. Holds the franchise record for receiving yards, 6,267. And also 38 touchdowns by a tight end. He's second in franchise history in receptions with 579 to Harold Carmichael.
Wow.
Just a reliable tight end for the Eagles, and he made that Super Bowl parade in 52, man. He was one of them. So now that he's on the Commanders, but he'll always be at Eagles. That's why he's my number 13.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to win a couple of chips and play 10 years to supplant what he did in Philadelphia and Washington.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
He is definitely one of my favorite Eagles, and I'm sure at some point he'll show up on my list. The next guy that I have at number 13, while I think the first Super Bowl run on defense started with Asante Samuel, the second started with the guy I have at 13, and that's Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins, obviously 3-time Pro Bowler. He was the heart of the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles for several years during their championship run. He was as steady as he come. You never saw him off the field. He played special teams. He never was hurt. He did whatever was needed for the defense. He could cover in a pinch. He played both safeties. He played special teams. Malcolm was a special player. One of my favorite Birds of all time. There are a lot of good players on this list, and at some point, I believe once we get higher on the list, we're going to see a theme of the type of player that is on this list. But he most certainly is one of my favorites. So I have Malcolm Jenkins at number 13.
That's a good one. Love Malcolm. He didn't make my list, but he was one of those ones that I was arguing back and forth with myself on whether to include him or not. But, two of the moments I'll never forget about Malcolm Jenkins when you bring him up is the 99-yard pick six against Tom Brady.
Watched it yesterday.
That was completely awesome. And him just laying out Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Knocking his lights out in the Super Bowl. To me, that was a key part in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady on the other side was absolutely dealing. And, you take one weapon away from him and, that right there could have been the difference in a win or a loss.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go to number 12 on your list, Joey.
Number 12, I had Brian Westbrook. Love B West, man. He and a couple other guys that are on this list that we'll get to later were a key part in my Eagles fandom. That chemistry and that glue he shared with a few other players, man. It was nothing like it. Started off as a special teams punt returner and him taking a couple to the crib, man. I was like, who's that guy? And, wasn't my first jersey. But my dad did get me a number 36 jersey and something I'll always cherish.
A lot of people had 36 jerseys, man. He was a very popular player. Very popular player. Sammy?
My number 12 player is Brian Westbrook.
You can't make that.
I swear, we did not study together, I promise. So, ironically, Brian Westbrook was actually my first jersey that I ever had.
Okay.
Everybody loved to talk about his small size, but he always, was a dominant player for us. Great rusher, great receiver, great punt returner, like Joey said. He holds the franchise record for most scrimmage yards in a season, which actually that did get broke last year to Saquon. But he did have 2,104 yards in 2007 and had most receptions in a season with 90 in 2007 also.
Top 3 rusher all time. He is number 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Eagles history.
Yeah. He's all-time leader in scrimmage yards for the Eagles, 9,785, and over his 8 seasons with the Birds scored 66 touchdowns. And, in 2023, he was elected into the Eagles Hall of Fame. So that's why he's my number 12.
Yeah. B West didn't make my list.
That's kind of crazy.
It's kind of crazy, but I think there's going to be a couple of guys on my list that you're going to be like, when I get to them. But there's a reason why B West didn't make my list.
Okay.
He definitely is an all-time Eagle. Don't get it twisted. I loved, B West. He was also a guy that did everything, caught the ball at the backfield. If you put a 28 on him and put a Rams jersey on him, you would have thought he was Marshall Faulk. He did everything for the Eagles. Sometimes to his detriment, to the team's detriment, because during his time outside of Terrell Owens, for the 1 year, they had no weapons on the outside. So B West did a lot.
Yeah.
He carried a heavy load for them, and he did it well. He's one of my favorite players. Sidebar, one of the nicest guys that I ever met. I'm sure I have a picture of it somewhere. We were at the link when it first opened. We got a chance to go in and walk around and see everything. Somebody gave me some passes or whatever like that. So my son had this hat that we have bought from the Morristown Mall, and some guy walks up to him and grabs him by the shoulder and says, "Hey, little man, where you get that hat from? That hat is fire." And it was Brian Westbrook. He hadn't even played a down yet.
That's awesome.
He was literally, a rookie. It was like the first thing he probably ever did when he was with the Eagles. Like, they used to make rookies do that kind of thing. And very nice guy, and something I'll always remember. But shout out to B West.
That's an awesome memory, man.
Yeah. So we're moving up the list. We're at 12? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, you're at your number 12. Who's your number 12?
Oh, wait a minute. My number 13.
I
took number 13 already, right?
No, it's number 12.
Nah.
Number 12, right? It's on me, right?
Yep.
Okay. Number 12, since we're moving up the list here, my number 12 guy is Jalen Hurts. Now, this is also part projection, because when you look at the overall body of work There's only one quarterback in Eagles history that's been to 2 Super Bowls, and that's him. He don't have a ton of Pro Bowls. He's got a couple. Doesn't have any All Pros, but he is the reason why they have been competitive and been at the top of the NFC. I mean, really, other than the first year, they've always made the playoffs. He's a steady guy. And I hate when people say that because he's talented and he's good. And I know a lot of people in the, outside of Philadelphia in the media landscape, they like to pile on Jalen Hurts because he don't look like Joe Burrow. He don't look like Justin Herbert. But you know what he got that they don't? A ring. So that is my guy at number 12, Mr. Jalen Hurts. I think if we do this again in 10 years, he will be up this list a lot higher.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Joey, it's on you.
We're going to go to number 11. My guy, Lane Johnson.
Wow.
2-time Super Bowl champ.
That he is.
4-time All-Pro.
That he is.
5-time Pro Bowler. 0 sacks allowed last season per Pro Football Focus. We're talking about a future Hall of Famer. To me, since he's been in the league, he has been the top right tackle, if not amongst the top right tackles in football. You look at him and, a guy who makes you remember that pro players, period, are also human. Mental health is important, and it's something that he struggled with along with a guy he played with Brandon Brooks. And, I can relate to that a lot. I struggled. I have my struggles with my mental health, but, seeing these guys who are making millions of dollars and going out there and playing a game of football, to hear that they also struggle with things like this, it makes me feel better about myself.
Absolutely. We're all human. They look like superheroes, but they're human just like we're human.
And one of my favorite things about Lane Johnson, I was on my way home from work one day and listening to WIP, and Lane and his family are from Texas, so he has got a lot of Cowboys fans in his family. He looked at his grandmother and straight up told her, "If you want to live to see 75, you better shut your fucking mouth." He does not tolerate.
Shout out to Lane.
Yeah, man.
He does not tolerate Eagle slander.
Oh my gosh.
I absolutely love that.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Oh my God.
That just made my night.
That made my night too. Sammy, who you got, bro? Great story, by the way, Joey.
Yeah, great story. My number 11 is Jalen Hurts. I mean, to kind of just back off of what you said for, Jalen Hurts, 2 Super Bowl appearances, was the Super Bowl 59 MVP, broke Randall Cunningham's franchise record for most rushing touchdowns in a season with 15. Also broke his single season total touchdowns with 36. Actually tied Terrell Davis' Super Bowl record for rushing 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
Broke his own record. He set in Super Bowl 57 for 70 rushing yards with 72 rushing yards in Super Bowl 59. And this one gets me. Broke McNabb's franchise record for offensive yards in the first 12 games of a season, 3,549 yards.
Say it again?
So...
Most offensive yards in the first 12 games of a season?
In the first 12 games of a season.
That must be passing. I'm assuming passing.
I'm assuming it is passing.
Yeah, rushing.
Or it's combined.
Combined, yeah, gotta be combined.
That's an ESPN stat, but that's a damn good stat.
That's a damn good stat.
That's insane.
Good job, Sammy.
Thanks. But just honestly, his proven leadership, and just like you said, like, I mean, we got, hopefully plenty more years with him as our QB, and I could see him moving up the rankings. So that's my number 11.
Good job. Yeah, not much left to say about Jay Hurts. Hope you stick around for a long time, number 1.
Amen, man. We love you over here.
Yeah, boy. We sure do. Moving up the list. So my guy that I have here, what pick are we at? We're at
11.
You're still at 11.
I went first.
Yep.
We're at 11? Hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're at 11. This is a tough one for me because I don't really think he belongs on the list because there are a couple of guys that I had as honorable mentions that should be on this list that I knocked him off from. But this is probably the only pick that I have with my heart on this list.
But that's why it's your list and it's personal preference.
Right. Exactly. And that guy's Brandon Graham.
Okay.
Yeah, Brandon Graham's not a multiple Pro Bowler. He's not, he's not going to touch the Hall of Fame, but he has meant so much to not only the Eagles, but to the city since he's been there. For whatever reason, sometimes players connect with a city, and boy, did he connect with Philadelphia. Like, we love 55. And in the biggest moments in some of the biggest games, he may not have had any 5-6 sack games or 6 sack games, but when we needed one, he got that one.
Amen.
And that's why he's one of my favorite Eagles. I'm sure he'll be in that ring at some point, Ring of Honor at some point that they have. We're getting short on jerseys being retired. Like, there are a lot of guys that down the line are going to need their jerseys retired. I don't know how many we can retire, but I can't see anybody else wearing 55. I just really can't.
No, you really can't.
So that's why for me, that's where he's at on this list for me. So
great pick.
Moving on, Joey, it's on you.
Number 10. I have. We're getting to the top 10 now. It's going to get interesting.
It's going to get interesting for sure.
I have Deshaun Jackson. The man is a human highlight reel. If I'm not mistaken, he is the all-time leader in, I believe it's either 60 plus or 65 plus yard touchdowns in NFL history.
Jesus.
He is. Talk about an absolute burner.
Yeah.
He's a top 3 leader in Eagles receiving yards. Probably would have been the best receiver in Eagles history if it was not for that motherfucking Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly, yeah. I didn't know we were gonna run the Chip Kelly gauntlet, but you know what? I'm okay with it.
Not only did he trade away our best receiver, he sent him to the Washington Redskins.
Yeah. Before they were the Commanders, they were the Redskins, and they did send them there. Yeah.
What kind of bozo sends a guy like that who's got the potential to be the best in franchise history to a division rival?
Yeah.
I can't wrap around my head. I can't wrap it around my head to this day.
And he killed the Eagles when he played.
I'm pretty sure his first play,
he killed
as a Redskin, was a bomb against us.
But I'll never forget that first play. I think it was Monday Night Football. Mike Vick to Deshaun Jackson, 84 yards on the button. On the button.
Furthest ball I've ever seen thrown.
What's that thing?
But he's also, another player that's special to me because that was the first jersey I've ever had.
Wow.
That was really when I was really getting into football. I had it before my Westbrook jersey, but that's because we couldn't find the Westbrook jersey.
Wow.
In my size at the time.
Jeez. Wow. Good pick, Joey. Sammy C, what you got? I see by the look on your face. You must have something similar to Joey.
Deshaun Jackson.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy because me and Joey's stories kind of relate similar, but Deshaun Jackson was my second jersey that I've ever had. I always thought, I don't know, I always thought I could be like Deshaun Jackson. Watching this man run, how fast he was, everything like that. I was always quick as a kid and playing football, outside. I always thought I was Deshaun Jackson. Just burning past my friends and, But, as an Eagle, he was an amazing wide receiver to watch.
He really was. Yeah.
Just like the iconic moments. I mean, and the Meadowlands.
Ooh.
That punt return. I mean, with what, 3 seconds? I mean,
I will never forget it. Who was the coach for the Giants? With Tom Coughlin, right?
Tom Coughlin.
Yep.
I've never seen a man so red in the face.
Yeah.
Just screaming his absolute lungs out at his punter for not getting it out of bounds.
Oh my God.
It wasn't, I mean, you still watch that video over and over and over again. It's still one of the most iconic plays that
they play it every year.
Yeah.
Like
It's
somewhere they play that clip every year.
Yeah. It's just insane to watch, insane to think about. But,
a great comeback overall by the team that year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And, he's among the Eagles as, one of the top leaders in receiving, receptions, and punt return yards. So, and then good old Chip Kelly came in and, like Joey said, destroyed everything.
Everything.
But yeah, that's my number 10, is Deshaun Jackson.
Who I believe Chip Kelly is an offensive coordinator with somebody.
He is.
If I'm not
I just saw that not so long
If
ago.
I'm not mistaken.
I don't think he'll ever get another head coaching job. But
it might be the Raiders.
Could be.
If I'm not mistaken.
He gets to come back to Philly.
We'll have
he
to check
does
on
get
that.
to. Oh, man, I hope that happens.
That would be great.
So, Derek, who's your number 10?
Well, unlike you guys, I deviated. I went straight left field on this one. So I know you guys both picked Deshaun Jackson, so I went a completely different direction on this.
Okay.
My number 10 guy is Deshaun Jackson.
I love the unity that we have here as a group.
We did not plan this,
No,
but you guys hit everything on the head. He was an amazing Eagle. After enduring so many years of not having somebody who could catch the football, watching Deshaun was amazing. I'm not going to rehash anything that you guys said. You guys did a great job. The only thing that I'll say is that my most memorable play as an Eagle for Deshaun, although the punt return was a good one, and the Vic, flick for 80 yards was a good one. The one I'll remember the most is a play where he didn't even catch the ball. There was a play against the Atlanta Falcons. I want to say it was the second or third year. And there was a crossing route that somebody else on this list set him up for, where he got destroyed. Missed a few games. Now, I've seen Deshaun. I've been in rooms with Deshaun. He's even smaller than he looks.
Really?
Yes. And when he got hit, I can't remember the corner's name from Atlanta. When he got hit, I thought his career might be over. Like, as small as he was, he just extended and the guy just destroyed him. A few weeks later, he comes back. And that told me everything I needed to know about this guy. There will be wide receivers that would have been out the rest of the year as hard as he get hit. Jesus. When we get a chance, I want you to look at it. Like, he was destroyed.
I actually just seen that video.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. I don't know. I mean,
when it happened, I was watching it, and when he came back, I'm like, this guy's got heart.
Yeah,
this little dude got heart. Forget all the other stuff, and all the other stuff was great, but he loved playing football, and he never let his slight stature stand in his way. So for me, that's why he is 3-time Pro Bowler. He did all that stuff, but for me, personally, it's what I loved most about Deshaun. He was a tough guy. As much as he, towards the end of his career, got hurt and he was in and out, he always tried to come back and he always wanted to play. And I always loved that about him. So we went around the horn on this one.
Yeah, we did.
We all picked D-Jax. So moving up the list to number 9, Joey, this one's on you, my guy.
At number 9, I have the big man in the middle, Fletcher Cox.
Okay.
Spent his entire career here. I believe it was 12 years. 6 straight Pro Bowl nods and a 4-time All-Pro. He has 70 sacks. I believe that's 5th all-time in franchise history. I did not realize that number was that high.
70?
That's what it says.
Wow. I didn't realize that either.
No, me either.
But, huge part in the middle there. And, that first Super Bowl team, him being able to take those double teams, you might not see it on a stat sheet anywhere, but it matters. You going back to Brandon Graham getting that strip sack on Tom Brady, all attention was to Fletcher Cox because they knew Fletcher Cox will bull rush that line and get to that quarterback better than anybody can.
Absolutely.
And, Big Fletch is definitely deserving of that number 9 spot for me.
Can't disagree with that. Sammy?
My number 9 is Jason Peters. One of the best offensive tackles for the Eagles that I personally would have to say. Over the span of his 12 years spent with the Eagles, 7 Pro Bowl selections, was named a 2-time All-Pro and a Super Bowl 52 champ. His career, just proves the high skill level, the performance level, just his leadership. It just goes to show how much success the Eagles had as him as his offensive tackle, especially, in Super Bowl 52 also. But, when I first started watching football, I was a young boy when Jason Peters was, playing, like when I first started watching. But obviously, he spent 12 seasons with us. I got to watch Super Bowl, everything like that. But Jason Peters is my number 9 selection.
That's a good pick. I love Big JP.
He did not make my list. And the only reason that is because he went and played for those stinky Cowboys.
Oh, my man took this shit personal.
My man was done with his career. He should have never even went to the Cowboys.
You just don't do that.
I know.
And he goes all-time great. You go to the enemy.
I feel you.
You don't. But he also went to the Cowboys and also got hurt for the Cowboys. So he really didn't play. So
he put on a uniform and got some checks. That's
about all he did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the next guy on my list is Zach Ertz.
Okay.
Now, I think Zach is, clearly, he's the greatest tight end in Eagles history. One of the best Eagles of all time. He never was going to wow you in the blocking game, but he was going to do everything. He caught balls that wide receivers couldn't catch. I always liked Zach because, he knew what his limitations were. He was more a hybrid. If there was something in the middle of tight end and wide receiver, that's what Zach Ertz was. But man, did he make some big catches? You could always count on him. He was, I'm trying to think how many quarterbacks did he play under? Obviously he played under
There was a lot.
Yeah, he played under a lot of quarterbacks, but
Carson Wentz, Nick Foles,
Yeah.
Mark Sanchez, I think.
yeah, he might even
was
been
in
at
there.
yeah,
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Yeah, he ran the gauntlet pretty much of quarterbacks, but it didn't affect his play.
Nope.
And that's what I really liked about him. You know,
Yeah.
never really a complainer either. Never saw Zach Ertz really complain. Eagles all-time great. Like I said, you know, he's 8,088 yards. By the end of this, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, he'll jump Jimmy Graham and Greg Olsen. And he'll be right behind Rob Gronkowski for 6th or 7th all-time tight ends.
That's insane.
Yeah. He won't catch any of the guys above that, but he will definitely, I mean, depending on how long he plays, he might be able to catch Shannon Sharp at 10,000 yards, but I don't think he's going to play much longer. But Zach Ertz is...
You can always say he's the top 10.
Yeah, he's a top 10 tight end of all time at this point,
Yeah.
you know. So that's my guy there, Zach Ertz.
Nice.
You mentioned quarterback gauntlet. Surprisingly, Deshaun Jackson has played with a handful of quarterbacks as well, and a couple different stints that he had with the Eagles.
Yeah, you're right about that. True. Around the same time, because they were on the team around the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah, so didn't hurt either one of them, you know. So, Joey, it's on you, brother. What's next?
We are up to number 8, and I'm following your direction. It is Zach Ertz. My guy.
Your guy.
When you catch the touchdown that seals a team's first Super Bowl, how do you not make the list?
Yeah,
Like you said, you know, top 10 tight end all time. He has the Eagles single season reception at 116. He did that in 2018. You know, what I loved about Zach Ertz was that during his time, other than D-Jack and the D-Jack departed, there were no really great receivers that were alongside of him to take the attention away from him.
No, not
And
at all.
somehow, some way, in 2019, he was the Eagles' leading receiver with 916 yards.
Damn, they was feeding the shit out of him.
You know, that's impressive, especially for a guy who wasn't necessarily fleet of foot.
No, he wasn't. Great route runner, though, for a tight end.
You know, I referred to him as Mr. Catch and Drop at times.
Yeah.
But, you know, I love Zach. You know, I have that Super Bowl jersey because of that touchdown that sealed our victory away against the Patriots. But, you know, also just looking back this past postseason when we defeated the Commanders, he had his press conference and, you know, he had some tears in his eyes, and you could tell that he still loves this city with every fiber in his body. And, you know, a guy like that forever deserves to be in our hearts in Philadelphia.
Wow. Yeah, I know that was personal for you because that was your guy.
That was my guy.
That was your guy. Yeah. Good job, Joey. Sammy, see what you got, fam.
My number 8 is Malcolm Jenkins. He made my list. Even he only played 6 seasons with the Eagles. 3-time Pro Bowler with the Eagles. Super Bowl 52 champ. And just like you said, Derek, played various defensive positions. You know, could play both safety spots. And just his heart, man. His heart, his just demeanor to, you know, win games and just pick everybody up on the team. You know, that's why he made my number 8 spot. And you know, I was upset when we lost him, but you know, they come and they go. But he's definitely one of the that hit against Brandon Cooks was just insane in the Super Bowl. Insane. But yeah, he made my number 8.
A true leader, for sure.
I mean, him and Asante, I wanted to move them up so bad. I just didn't have a spot for them, but those are definitely, you know what I mean, to my favorite Eagles of all time.
Yeah.
Good job, Sammy.
Thank you.
My guy here is, I'm sure you are not going to have either one on your list, but he was one of my favorite players as well. There's a theme. I like defensive backs. And the guy I have here on my list is Troy Vincent. Now, Troy Vincent is a 5-time Pro Bowler, one of the best defensive backs to ever play for the Eagles. He was when Asante came in, he kind of took Troy's role as the leader in the back end. We've had some good defensive backs, but Troy was one of the best. He was steady. I mean, picks. He was a lot. He was around before, probably you guys don't remember him as much, but he was a lot like Malcolm Jenkins. He could do a lot of different things. And Troy was definitely one of my favorite players. So, yeah, I have him at number 8 on my list. Troy and Bobby show. Troy Vincent.
Was not expecting that. That's for sure.
Shout out Troy, man.
Yeah.
Troy was a baller, guys. I'm telling you, he was a baller. And with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the top of our list. Starting to get a little sweaty in here. We'll be back in a minute.
What's up, fellas? Appreciate you letting a Giants fan sneak on the pod for a quick second here. Big thanks to showing love to my brand, by the way, Shore Golf Company. We're all about bringing the beach vibes to the golf course, laid back gear for those who like to sit back, relax, and swing. Proud to keep it local, repping the shore and supporting each other. Even if we don't agree on football, we could all agree on clean golf fits. Appreciate the exposure, boys. Would love to join you sometime for some NFL analysis, whether we're talking NFC East or the NFL as a whole. Keep killing it, gentlemen.
And we're back. Moving up the list, we are at number 7 on our top 15 Eagles in the past 25 years. Joey, I think this was on you. The list is starting to get a little crowded at the top. Who you got?
A guy that you mentioned earlier, BG.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
BG this high?
Listen, man, personal preference, right?
And, yeah, of course. Personal preference.
Longest tenured Eagle, franchise history.
Absolutely.
And he's never shied away from the limelight, the media, anything like that. If you needed questions answered, BG was there. Was it always the best thing that he was answering questions? No.
But he answered them.
He did. And, we appreciate that. But, he was also a guy that, to me, an underdog. He was a first-round draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. And his first couple years here weren't necessarily the greatest.
Nope, they weren't.
A lot of people were calling and saying, oh, this is a wasted draft pick, this, that, and the third. But, to persevere and come out on top, couple injuries. He tore his Achilles, came back, had a career year with, I believe, 11 sacks.
Why did I forget about that? I forgot he tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like you touched base on earlier, understood the meaning of being a Philly guy, a Philly player.
Absolutely.
And my list might be a little biased to these guys that brought home a championship, but
it's your list, bro.
Rightfully so, though. This city was starved of a championship, a Super Bowl anyway, for a very long time. And him having that key play in there, that's something that I'll never forget.
Absolutely. Obviously, I already picked him. And, well said. He'll be one of the greatest Eagles ever. Sammy, who you got at the number 7 spot?
Number 7, I actually have Jeremiah Trotter, a.k.a. X-Man. Yeah. In the 7 seasons with the Eagles, Trotter proved himself to be a reliable defensive player. Strong tackling, just impactful plays that he's made. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler. He actually played a key role in the Eagles defense during the Super Bowl 39 and finished his Eagles career with 720 solo tackles. Not a lot of sacks, but 12.5 sacks, 9 interceptions, 8 forced fumbles, and played a total of 147 games for the Eagles. I was a young boy, so I really didn't get to watch a lot of him. But that's why they got YouTube, and you get to watch all the stuff, all the highlights and stuff like that. But I mean, just watching the highlights for him, I mean, I don't know, but I would say he's one of the better tacklers as, the linebacker position. And just like Joey said, the axe, and now having his son on the team.
Yeah, it's a little odd. Yeah.
It's a little odd,
Yeah.
You would have never thought that we'd have his son as an Eagle also.
Never.
But it's just, he made my number 7.
Yeah, he was. He didn't make my list, but Trot was one of the guys that he was a willing tackler. We have not been very kind to the linebacker position for the Eagles, and there's a reason why anytime you talk to anybody that is over 35 years old, they always say, "Oh, is he like Trot?" There's a reason why, because he was someone who you didn't want to meet him in the hole when he was a linebacker. He came off the edge. He was about as complete as they come at the linebacker position for a team that historically just didn't, invest a lot of capital in the position. Trot was one of like I said, he didn't make my list, but Trot was one of my favorite players. I loved watching him play. And he's an old time Eagle great, And by all grounds, a great dude too. Number 7 on my list is the Eagles' all-time leading rusher, Mr. LaShawn McCoy. Now, the only way I can say this is Shady was the shit. Like he was, I mean, when you think of him, that's kind of like, he just was the shit, man. Like, the way he ran the ball, the way he carried the ball or the lack thereof, he was something like we never saw in an Eagle uniform before. All the running backs before him and even after him, nobody ran the ball like LaShawn did. He was part Barry Sanders, part Marshall Faulk. He did everything that you want a running back to do. He wasn't the greatest a blocker, but he did enough. And he was someone that when you watched him play, they have something that coaches and scouts, it's a term they use called a 15-second guy. And that is, I need to just watch 15 seconds of film on this guy and whether to know he's special or not. And that's all you had to do when you saw Shady. As soon as he touched the ball, you knew, even if it was a 4-yard loss, he made that shit look amazing. Shady's one of my favorite players. He deservedly is in the Eagles Ring of Honor and have his jersey retired, 3-time Pro Bowler. Again, all-time leading rusher with the Eagles. So my number 7 guy is LaShawn McCoy.
It's a good pick. I love that pick.
Next up, number 6. Joey, it's on you.
I might get some heat for this one.
Uh-oh.
I
think you're going to get some heat for some other ones, but we're going to see what this one is. Go ahead.
I got Jay Hurts.
Really?
Again, championships matter to me. That's up on a pedestal. That's the highest form of winning that you can accomplish.
Couldn't agree more.
another guy who, when they drafted, a lot of analysts had him. There was a lot of question marks. Oh, I don't know if he can play the quarterback position in the NFL to the standard that a lot of teams hold quarterbacks. And, he's come out here and all he's done since starting a full season with the Eagles is win. And I don't care how it comes and which manner it is, a win is a win. And that's what Jalen Hurts does. I was a little shocked when they took him, but boy, am I grateful.
Absolutely.
I
mean, not to cut you off, but we were all shocked. We all had that.
Yeah, because we watched that draft together.
We watched the draft together, and we're like, we got Carson.
It's definitely not who I wanted to take.
Yeah,
but
we were all like, we got Carson Wentz. Why are we taking a quarterback?
Again, grateful for the way things played out.
Yeah, grateful.
Yeah. Thank you, Howie.
Thank you, Howie.
If it's one thing I know, it's rain, sleet, or snow, Jalen Hurts is trained to go.
Absolutely. Steady ship by Jalen.
But, things can only go up from here. May he fall down the list, may he fall up the list. Time will tell. But as of right now, he means a lot to me. He means a lot to this franchise at the moment. And I got him penciled in at number 6.
Nothing wrong with that. You're right. Championship matters. And like I said, only one Eagle quarterback in history has ever been to 2 Super Bowls, and that's Jalen Hurts. Sammy, you're up next. Who is your guy?
My number 6, I may hear some stuff for this, but I got Lane Johnson, man. Entering his 13th season, and counting.
Yeah.
Continues to play at a high level. Just a reliable right tackle. With BG retiring, becoming the longest Eagle on the roster, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first team All-Pro, 3-time second team All-Pro. I mean, his pass blocking is just insane. 2 Super Bowls. To me, my preference is he's one of the greatest offensive tackles of all time. And, and he's still playing. Like Joey said earlier, with 0 sacks, you know how hard that is, especially going up against the best defensive ends that there are in the game. I mean, it's just mind blowing, to be honest with you. So that's my number 6, Lane Johnson.
Great pick. Obviously, I am pro Lane as well. One of the greatest to ever put on a uniform. Who I have here at the number 6 spot is Fletcher Cox. Fletcher is a 6-time Pro Bowler. He was a steady force in the middle of the defense for 10 years. Him, BG, they were always synonymous with playing hard. And I think sometimes, especially people in Philadelphia, get caught up in playing the Philadelphia way. But Fletcher did. He was as hard-nosed as they come. He never took plays off. You always, if you're watching the Eagles game, you'd always see a possession where Fletcher would be on the field. Then he runs over to the sideline. He takes that knee. He's huffing and puffing, but he's got his helmet right there. Next play, he right back out there. That's one of the things I loved about Fletch, man. He brought it every time he played. He brought it. So, we spoke of the numbers already. Like I said, 6-time Pro Bowler, high on the Eagle sack list. Fletcher Cox is my number 6 guy, a true all-time great. I can't see him not having his jersey up in that ring at some point too. We're going to probably run out of the room, but I can't see it not being up there as well.
I agree.
You can't forget that sack celebration either, man. Iconic.
Yeah, it's
Iconic.
iconic. Yeah. All right, moving up. We're at number 5. Top 5.
Top 5. Here we go.
It is getting crazy now.
It is.
There have already been some surprises, but Joey, what do you got starting your top 5?
At my number 5 is Shady McCoy.
I'm not mad at that.
Mr. Cut on Dime, man.
Yeah, boy.
You know, you hit on a lot, earlier. But, a true home run hitter. You needed 5 yards, you needed 6 yards, you needed a long touchdown. You put that ball in Shady's hands, he was going to make something work.
Yeah.
Like you said, franchise all-time leading rusher. Another interesting fact is his 4.6 yards per carry is tied with former teammate Brian Westbrook for most yards per carry in franchise history.
Good stat. Yeah.
And yet again, I will never, ever, ever, ever forgive Chip Kelly.
Where are we going with this, Joey?
For trading Shady McCoy essentially for a bag of Lay's potato chips.
Yeah.
No disrespect to anybody who plays in the league. But who the hell is Kiko Alonso?
That's what we got for Sean McCoy. That's what it did. Yeah.
But, going back to Shady, I think I can confidently say that as a kid growing up, watching the birds, the cuts, the moves, the shake and bake, everything that he did on that football field, I can confidently say every kid in the tri-state area was in their backyard trying to emulate the things that Shady McCoy could do.
A lot of 25 jerseys out there. For sure. Great one, Joey. Sammy, top 5. Who you got starting your top 5?
Shady McCoy.
Oh!
My dog.
Here's a shock. You guys studied over the week. I got you. Feel left out.
Well, I really don't really have anything for Shady other than, everybody pretty much went over all of his stats, everything like that. But I will tell you, though, as a kid growing up, watching him, after Westbrook, I mean, what a player. What a player.
Not to cut you off, but he's the perfect player / running back for like a 10 to 12-year-old to like watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like perfect for that.
Exactly where I was in my lifetime.
Yeah, he's like perfect for that. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
Nah, and my most memorable moment was watching him in the Snow Bowl game.
Snow Bowl game.
Cutting it up.
Everybody slipping but him.
Yep. It was just insane to watch. I mean, the cuts, everything that he did in that game was just absolutely insane. And I mean, he had this single season rushing record for the longest time until Saquon Barkley came in. But, he just deserves the number 5 spot for me. What an absolute amazing player to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I already picked him on my list. And, Shady he was amazing to watch. One of my favorite birds. Starting my top 5 is one Mr. Jason Peters. Jason Peters is a 7-time Pro Bowler. He was a steadying force for the Birds when this was before Lane, obviously before Jordan Mailata, a lot of these guys. And Jason he was a mauler. He just, at the size he was, to play the way that he played, there was a clip one time I sent my nephew when Jason was playing and he had a tackle engaged on a run play. Well, I think it was LeSean run play. Had a tackle engaged. He reaches his arm out and engages the end, and he's got both of them. And Shady just runs around the outside and scores a touchdown. That encompasses what Jason Peters was. up until the later parts of his career when he obviously he was older and he started getting hurt. But again, another guy could always count on him. He was always there. He was he's to me he's an all-time Eagle great. I think sometimes Eagle greats get looked at if they don't get drafted by the team. But I don't think that should be any reason why he shouldn't be one of the all-time Hall of Fame Eagles ever. Like, for what he did for the time he was there, Jason Peters deserves to be in my top 5 and a lot of other people's top 5. So that's where I got him on the list.
The bodyguard.
The bodyguard. Number 4. We're counting down to the number 1 spot. Number 4.
Number 4 for me is number 5. Donovan McNabb.
Wow.
Some people may say he deserves to be higher on this list, and by no means, no disrespect to Donovan. Grateful for everything that he did. To me, he introduced a new era of consistent winning football, and he was booed on his draft night.
He was. That he was.
And, thankful that he turned out to be an all-time Eagle great. There's so much you could say about this guy. But 4 consecutive NFC championship games between 01 and 04. And obviously 04, we made it to Super Bowl. Fell short, I do think the Patriots may have cheated, but you can only play the game that's in front of you, and whether if you come up short or come up with a victory, it's all determined, by your efforts put out on the field.
Absolutely.
But if there's one last thing I'm going to say about number 5, it is number 5 will always love you.
I knew you were going to say that. Good pick, Joey. Sammy, moving up your list, number 4, who you got?
I got Brandon Graham as number 4, man. To me, just a Philly legend. Watching him, 2 Super Bowls, like we said, but one hell of a player to watch. He didn't really have a lot of stats and this and that, but he ended his career with 76.5 sacks. I mean, not a lot, but 3rd in franchise history. He had 153 QB hits, which is 2nd in franchise history. Never knew that.
Great stat. I don't know where you got that from, but that's a great stat.
This one blows my mind, but 126 tackle for losses, most in franchise history for Brandon Graham.
Disruptive.
Just disruptive.
That was even a stat.
I didn't even know that was a stat either, but it's just insane. And
Sammy, you're officially our stat guy because I would have never pulled that shit.
I mean,
Jesus.
he only had 1 Pro Bowl, first, second team All Pro, but just his high level of playing and just 15 seasons, man. It's mind blowing to even think about that. But
I told you earlier, the average NFL career is 3.3 years.
Yeah.
My man played 15 years.
And to even
5
think about
times the NFL average is crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. And the thing that really gets me is tears his tricep, last year.
Late
In the season, comes back, makes it for the Super Bowl, tears it again in the Super Bowl, and still finishes the game. It's just...
That's BG.
That's BG for you, man. And he's always going to be a Philly legend, and that's why he's my number 4, man.
Good shit, man. Yeah. Not much more to be said about BG. Good job. My number 4 guy, looks like me and Joey studied on this one. It's Mr. Donovan McNabb. The city and the team have had a complicated history with Donovan. But I'm gonna keep it real simple. He's the greatest quarterback in Eagles history, period. He didn't get to the chip. And the one time he did get there, he had a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Not everybody can win without a good wide receiver or good wideouts, period. I think he gets a bad rap a lot of times for not being able to get over the hump. A lot of times it didn't have anything to do with him. I'm not going to sit here and say he was one of my favorite Eagles players because there were a lot of times when I would watch some games, I'm like, man, what the hell is you doing? But there are some times I'd be like, yeah, we wouldn't win this shit if it wasn't for him.
Those worm burners.
Yeah, man. He bounced quite a few. But he tossed quite a few as well.
Absolutely.
30,000 yards as a matter of fact.
It's no number to sneeze at.
Not at all. Not at all. So for me, he's number 4 on my list, Mr. Donovan F. McNabb. Joey, it's on you.
Let's jump right into our top 3.
Top 3.
Oh, man. Again, might get some heat for this one.
Oh, anytime you say you might get some heat, guess what? You get some heat.
I got my guy, Nick Foles.
Wow.
Go ahead, man. It's your list.
Mr. BDN. For those who know, you know.
Yeah.
Again, championships. And,
championships matter. You're right about that.
Not only was it just championships, but his first stint with us in the Eagles, he tied the record for most thrown touchdowns in the game with all-time great Peyton Manning with 7 touchdowns.
Absolutely.
I do believe he could have broke that record, but they pulled the starters off the field, and rightfully so. It was an absolute murder.
I was about to ask.
Poor Raiders.
Yeah, it was.
But, I went, so that year we made that run. I went to, right after Carson Wentz got hurt and he stepped in as starter, I was at the Christmas game against the Raiders, funny enough.
Wow.
And it was an awful game. I'm sitting up there freezing my ass off, and I'm just like, man, this great of a season is really going to come to an end like this.
I remember that game. That game was terrible.
It's terrible. Yeah. I think we won it on a field goal.
Yeah.
But then to just turn it around and just go on, some people call it the greatest playoff run by a backup quarterback ever.
I have no problem with that.
To go in there and, the Minnesota game, just tear them apart. What was that, 38-7?
Yep. Shout out to my fake cousin, Patrick Robinson. Go ahead.
And then to go on the league's biggest stage where the lights are the brightest and to outduel the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
To bring the city's first Super Bowl. I'm sorry. That will forever be something I can go back to and say, Nick Foles deserves to be in my top 3.
And at the end of the day, like we said when we started, this is all subjective. And if that's your list, my guy, that is your list. Good shit. Sammy, what do you got at number 3?
His name was already mentioned. We're going Fletcher Cox, man.
Really? You got Fletcher Cox? Wow. Okay.
I just love watching him as a defensive tackle, man. It's insane to watch because there was teams that were just scared to go up against him. Like, they never left him with just one blocker. He was always getting double teamed. Every single time I seen him, he was always getting double teamed. I mean, you already went over, all the Pro Bowls and stuff like that, but just watching him, and I mean, he played 12 seasons with the Eagles, and like you said, his jersey's going to get retired hopefully one day, and just another Philly legend, man. From what I watched, as a young kid, Fletcher Cox was the best defensive tackle that I've seen, growing up.
Right.
But he just opened up opportunities for his teammates. Yeah, he's getting double teamed, but he doesn't have a lot of sacks. He doesn't have, all that, but even the sacks we can go on about. He'd break through the line, stop, make a runner stumble or just set his teammates up for, opportunities like that.
Yeah.
91. Fletcher Cox is my number 3.
Fletch was you did touch on something that I didn't touch on, which was the double team. He got double teamed all the time,
A lot.
man. And sometimes he would even be exasperated by like, damn, like, all right, man, like, all right, can I get some one-on-one blocking too, like everybody else?
Exactly.
Almost every down.
But there was a reason why, because they knew Flex was dominant, man. We got another one now, but Flex was the second, because obviously the first one was Jerome, but Jerome, Fletch, and now 98. We've had some good ones, my man.
Yeah.
Number 3 on my list has already been mentioned as well. I too think at some point at this trajectory, he will be first ballot Hall of Famer and may go down as the greatest left tackle in history, which is Lane Johnson. I knew Lane was a top pick when he came in. They always build the lines first, which I love. I think all teams should do that, build the lines first and then go out. But in my years of watching Eagles football, yeah, he's the greatest, even better than Jason Peters to me. And I love Jason Peters. He's the best tackle I've ever seen put on the Kelly Green or the Midnight Green. When you just don't give up any sacks and you play every down, you never see Lane coming off the field. Hopefully we're not jinxing these guys, but you never see Lane coming off the field. And one of the things that I'll always remember, someone told me this, I wasn't there, I don't know. But at the joint practices when the Eagles practiced with the Browns, and Myles Garrett was talking to Lane Johnson for a half an hour, trying to pick his brain to try to get better. Defensive ends don't normally do that unless they have a ton of respect for you. And Myles Garrett is one of the best to ever do it. And if he had that much respect for Lane, that means everyone in the league has to have that much respect for Lane. He's one of the, like I said, he's one of the best. We've already talked about him already. He's one of the best to put on the uniform. And I think at some point, first ballot Hall of Famer.
I agree.
Lane Johnson. We are getting down to the top 2. Now, I would be surprised if we have different guys at 1 and 2, but I've been surprised already with some of our differences, mine included. So, Joey, we're going to start with you. Who is your number 2 Eagle in the past 25 years?
Mr. Jason Kelce. I mean, the name is now known pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Shout out to him for being named Sexiest Man of the Year a couple years back.
I feel him on that.
But 13 seasons with the Birds, 6 first-team All-Pro nods out of, I believe it was out of 7 years in a row. He was first team 6 years in a row. Face of the team, talk about a leader, He went, the team went. That was a guy who he wore his emotions on his sleeve. But those emotions, they made you believe. When it was time to rally the troops, I could only imagine in that locker room, he was at the forefront of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
From 2015 until he retired, he did not miss a single game. That's a lot, for who they called an undersized guy to play the position From day one, Andy Reid took him under his wing and they coached him up, and a product of Jeff Stoughton,
Absolutely.
who I believe should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. They don't make him as tough as Jason Kelce. I say it all the time, games are won and lost in the trenches, and to do that for what I say 2015, so it was 9 years straight to not miss a single game.
Wow.
And not only was he was controlling the offense as well, the coverages, which way they were running the football. I'll never forget, there was a clip, I believe Jalen called an audible and wanted to run the ball to the left, and Jason Kelce just turned around and shook his head no. But he also understood that the quarterback controls the offense as well. And if I'm not mistaken, it led to a big play.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
A guy who understands the game, understands that, it may not be in his best interest to run to the left, but if the quarterback sees something that he's not seeing, the respect to, pass that off to the quarterback and his judgment, just a great guy. There's so much you can say about Jason Kelce, but I'll leave it there.
Well said, my guy. Well said. Sammy, who is your number 2 guy?
My number 2 is probably the best Super Bowl speech I've ever heard in my life, and that's Jason Kelce. I mean, to me, definitely a Hall of Famer and probably one of the best centers of all time, that I would say. He holds the record for the most first-team All-Pro selections by a player in his 30s. I mean,
insane.
Like you said, 3.3? It's just 7 Pro Bowl selections, 6 first-team All-Pro honors. I mean, the list just goes on and on about Jason Kelce, but his leadership is the biggest thing about him. Like Joey just covered, really not missing a game, playing all the games that he could possibly do. Absolutely insane to watch. That's my number 2, Jason Kelce.
Yeah, I won't, belabor the point. Obviously, you guys had the same guy. I was close to having the same guy there, but I do not. I went back and forth for a very, very long time about this. So he is not my my number 2 guy. My number 2 guy is Weapon X.
Wow.
Brian Dawkins. I didn't think it was going to be as hard to pick between those 2 guys as it was, but for me, it really, really was. 2 different generations of Eagles, but Brian was everything you want a football player to be. He also was a lot, Malcolm was a lot like him. Brian played every position in the back end, whether it was strong, free. When he first came up, he played a lot of corner. Obviously he was feared on the back end, and one of the most consistent players that have ever worn the Eagles colors. Hall of Famer, clearly. Brian is one of my favorite players, and a lot of people from my generation's favorite players. He will, he will always be beloved there because I mentioned it earlier. I think a lot of people put a lot on it when they talk about playing the Philadelphia way, but there's nobody that played more like a Philadelphian than Brian Dawkins. So for me, Brian Dawkins is my number 2 Eagle in the past 25 years.
Great pick.
So, down to the end. You're number 1 guy in the past 25 years, my guy.
Numero uno. Hallelujah! B-Dog, man, Weapon X. Again, growing up as a kid, seeing him come across the middle and just take someone's head off. As a kid, you grow up liking, certain things, and not that it's violence, because he's playing the game of football. The game of football, the nature of it is violent, but to just come across the middle, take somebody's head off, get up, and give praise to the Most High and Jesus Christ. There's really nobody else who can do it. 34 picks, tied for the franchise lead, 21 sacks, and 45 tackles for loss throughout his career with the Eagles. To me, and this is high praise, but I will firmly believe this, and no disrespect to Ed Reed.
I knew that name was coming.
And Troy Polamalu and the Ronnie Lotts of the world. To me, Brian Dawkins is the best safety to play the game of football. Again, that's my opinion.
Yeah,
but
a lot of people would agree with you, by the way.
I will die on that hill.
Yeah, a lot of people would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word aura, if you could define it, I'd put a picture of Brian Dawkins next to it.
Wow, that's perfect. Yeah.
He was a guy that walked with conviction, with purpose. He came on that field, and his one job was to make sure the other team didn't get to that end zone. And he did a damn good job of it.
And feel his presence. Anybody who stepped on the field felt Brian's presence.
I forget what clip it was, but, he was saying, he just knocked someone's lights out, got up and turned to his teammate and there was no words, just praise that he was able to be there and walk on the football field and do what he did week in and week out. The ultimate Philly guy. He gets it. And another guy who should have never played for another team.
Yeah, you got that right.
I can't believe you have a guy like that and you let him walk away. But, I'm not the GM.
He came home, though.
He did, but he should have never left.
He should have never left. I agree with you.
And, he was, like I said, the aura he carried. He came back to Philadelphia as a Denver Bronco. And this is something that will never, ever happen again. You had Philadelphia Eagles fans wearing a Denver number 20 Brian Dawkins jersey.
Yeah,
that will never happen in Lincoln Financial Field ever again. That just shows you how much respect the fans had for Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, that brought chills to me. You just saying that. I remember that. Wow. Yeah. Good job, Joey. Sammy, where we at on this, buddy?
Brian Dawkins.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, Joey just stole every single word out of my mouth.
Well, that's what happens when you guys study together, but go ahead.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, just absolutely insane. I mean, like sitting here now watching the videos of him coming out of the tunnel. I mean, you just get chills watching it. I mean, it's mind blowing. One of the hardest hitting safeties I've ever seen play the game. But hey, listen, that's why he got his gold jacket and was inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2018.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean, Joey really took all my words out of my mouth.
Joey was cooking. I'm not even front.
Nah.
Joey, you was cooking on this one, buddy.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Good.
Absolutely.
Shit. You cooked on that.
For real. But yeah, that's my number one, man.
Yeah.
If there's ever a time and a place where I need to get hype, I immediately go onto YouTube and just watching several of his clips coming out.
And actually
sitting there talking to himself, my time is come. My time is come. Like, he's just hearing that. How my hair on my arm is standing up right now.
Yeah, and to go off of that, I'm pretty sure the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Joey woke up very, very early that day.
Sure did.
Sent me the damn YouTube video of Brian Dawkins saying the exact same words, and I wanted to run through a damn wall. So,
Wow.
I mean, he, one of the best Eagles ever.
And not Eagles, football players.
Just, football
ever.
players.
Yeah. Obviously,
Yeah, you took him at 2.
I took him at 2. But I debated it. I debated it an awful long time. But you couldn't go wrong with either one of the guys that wanted to. They're both all-time Eagle legends.
So who's your number 1?
My number. Well, first, I want to give a little bit more love to B-Dog first. Okay. First player in NFL history to record a sack, interception, a fumble recovery, and a touchdown.
Never forget it.
In a game. That's Brian Dawkins for you. Impacted everything everywhere. Shout out to B-Dog. My number 1 guy, obviously, is Jason Kelsey. I debated this back and forth for an awful long time. We're talking Pro Bowls. We're talking impact. We're talking about how they affected the Eagles community. You're splitting hairs with either one of them. But for me, and as much as I love defensive backs and safeties, the job of the center is to be secondary in controlling the team. And when you have young quarterbacks or when you have players that you're trying to bring along, you need somebody like Jason Kelsey. The Pro Bowls, the All Pros, 6-time All Pro is just crazy to me. That means you are the best at your position in the league. We don't really have to go over it anymore. We don't have to rehash it, but I don't think any other franchise is going to have an offensive tackle as one of their best players ever. Obviously, we're talking 25 years, but Jason Kelsey is one of the best players the Eagles have ever had. He's on that short list with B-Dog, Reggie. He's on that short list. These guys are going into the Hall of Fame and wearing gold jackets for a reason. So, my number 1 guy, is Jason Kelsey. It's gotten a little too much fan exposure over the past couple of years. I'm tired of seeing him on Oreo commercials and all that shit. But he's still one of my favorite players. So, great job, guys.
Yeah.
This was extremely fun. Our lists are somewhat similar and somewhat really different. This won't be the last time we revisit something along these lines, maybe with another team or something like that. But this was really fun. We're going to take a real short break. And then when we come back, we're going to give a shout out, since this episode will be coming out closer to Father's Day. We're going to give a short dedication to our fathers. We'll be right back. Are you tired of hearing about snowballs being thrown at Santa Claus, or that your once beloved former stadium had a jail cell in it? Well, we were too. So we decided to do something about it. We started the Reggie and Jerome podcast. Real Eagles fans talk for real Eagles fans, for the most passionate fans in the world. The Reggie and Jerome podcast, available on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we're back. Man, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed making those picks with you guys. The last thing we're going to do before we head out of here, this podcast will be coming out closer towards Father's Day. So we'll probably be on a little bit of a hiatus. You'll be getting a little bit of a hiatus from the Reggie and Jerome podcast, but you won't be getting a hiatus from us, because we will be having something else down the line that we will be announcing fairly shortly that has to do with the three of us. So as such, we're going to dedicate the last part of this to our fathers. I first want to take a second to thank the Bayonet Whiskey Company from South Carolina. We took a shot earlier, but it kind of like twisted us a little bit, so we forgot to mention it. But yeah, I met this lady and her husband. Her husband wasn't there. I was in South Carolina. I was driving, and I found this company called the Bayonet Whiskey Company. I sat in the distillery that they had there for probably about 45 minutes and just talked to this woman about whiskey. And they gave me a couple of bottles to send home. They even gave me a way to get them home because you're really not supposed to transport them. But if you want to reach out to me after the podcast on how to do that, we can talk about that. I can't talk about it on here. But when I travel, that's usually what I do. I try to, sample whiskeys from all over the place. So the whiskey that we had today was from the Bayonet Whiskey Company in South Carolina. So shout out to her and shout out to them. So we're going to wrap this up. Sammy, we're going to let you go first. Tell you what's up to your pops.
All right, man. Well, what's up, pops? Happy Father's Day. Hopefully you hear this. Man, I don't even know where to begin other than just being a great father, having you as my role model, growing up, still are, working your ass off. That's the main thing. Supplying for the family. Just thank you for everything you've done for me, for everything you've done for the family. Means the world to me. Trust me. And I'll always have your back. I'll always be there for you. And it's my best friend, man. Best friend. Talk sports at least 5 times a day. It can be about all kinds of different sports. But yeah. Shout out to you, Pops. Love you.
Shout out. Joey, it's on you, my guy.
Dad, my guy, my twin, really. Thank you. And happy Father's Day and happy birthday. They fall so close to each other just about every year. I really can't say enough, but I do want to thank you. I do appreciate all the sacrifices you made. Whether it was leaving work early to get me to baseball or, even if, things may have been a little tight, making sure that we were good and we were able to enjoy things, going to baseball games and camps and vacations and stuff like that. I may not say it enough, but I love you. I really do. And, there's certain things you won't forget. And, one of them being that this is an Eagles podcast. I will never forget the moment we shared when we finally won it all. To be around you, my brother, my sister, family, and friends, and just sharing that embrace and looking at each other and say, we finally did it. That I will always remember. And again, thank you.
Well said, Joey. I want to give a shout out to several different people. Full disclosure, when I was younger, I didn't really know my pops like that. And I had a village of people who were like father figures to me. My uncle Bobby, my uncle Leroy, and my uncle Romadell. Several guys that were cousins of mine that made sure that void was not there because my father wasn't there. I later came into a family where my pops was he was like the guiding light for me. And he kind of showed me what it was like to be a father, to be a dad, because there's a huge difference. Anybody can be a father, but not everybody can be a dad. When I got older, I reconnected with my father, and I learned so much more about who he was and learned about being a man from a different perspective. And it gave me a different frame of thinking that, when you get older, you don't know every story. And I realized that some of the animosity I had towards my father, I didn't need to have. Because when you have that, you only hurt yourself. You don't hurt the person you think you have animosity with. Once I let that go, I learned to love my father, and I learned who the person he was to me and to other people in our life. I lost him a few years ago. I still miss him. I am his twin. Shout out to my brothers who are under 6 foot. I love you guys, but everyone, my father was 6'4", so I am his twin. I got his everything. If I show you a picture of him, like, oh yeah, that's your dad. So, you were a great guy. I miss you. And, I'll see you down the road. Fellas, this was great. I loved doing this. Again, out there, you will not be missing us very long. We have some other things down the pipeline that we will be doing. Obviously, we're going to be doing this. But I think my guys have an announcement they want to make before we leave. Fellas, take the floor.
Yeah. So, we're going to be kind of stepping away from the Eagles a little bit, but won't be missed because the podcast will be called The Mound Visit, and we will be going over the fightings. Joe, if you want to take over a little bit.
Those boys across the street from the link, man, they deserve coverage just as much as the Birds do.
Absolutely.
Right now, they're one of the best teams in baseball, and they deserve the coverage. I'm ready to have fun with it. My first sport was baseball, and we're looking forward to it, and hopefully they can follow the footsteps of the Eagles and bring home another championship to Philadelphia.
Absolutely. I'm excited for this. I know you guys hear my voice a lot, but when we get to the mound visit, I will be taking a step back because football is my realm 24/7. And I'd say baseball is a big part of my life for several different reasons. But I will probably be learning a lot more on that podcast than I have to on this one. So great job, guys.
Thank you. I got one more thing.
Oh, one more thing.
So listen, for all of our listeners out there, we really appreciate you guys. You guys showed us a lot of love, just from the first podcast.
Amen.
Listen, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcast and YouTube. It's under the Reggie and Jerome podcast. We also got an Instagram page if you guys like to follow. It's DJs_pod network. We do this for us, but you guys help us out a lot, and we appreciate it. We love having fun, and love talking football, and gonna be baseball soon. So
we love the feedback too. By the way, we love it. Keep it coming. Yeah.
And hey, who knows? Down the road, we may have some call-ins here. May have some special guests here. Who knows? So
yeah. I saw this dude at Charlie's Bar, and he was like, "Yo, I heard you got a podcast." And I'm like, where you heard that from? No, I'm sorry. It wasn't a bar. It was a bagel place.
Oh.
Literally, this happened. And I was like, oh, man, it just kind of like started. He was like, all right, man, I'll be checking you out. I was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? We just starting, but, we having fun with it. And we invite everybody in. This is fun. It's fun for us. Yeah. So we're going to keep it going, guys. That's for sure.
Amen.
Gentlemen, thanks for everything, and we out.
Sammy C, out.
Big J.A. Catch you on the next one.